grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street. Hi, welcome to another On the Sunny Side of the Street. I'm your host, Todd Gross, a clinical psychologist and director of Adams Street Associates in Newton. And you know, those of you who've been watching for over 9 years here, our show really focuses on the other side of human nature that you very rarely see talked about on the news, which is the positive side. Things that people do every day that they get no attention for, that are helping other people, making a difference, overcoming odds, helping each other. And one part of the sunny side of the street, for sure, is the enjoyment that we all get from eating. Foods are wonderful. But what if you're a parent who either has a child or yourself has an allergy and has difficulty with what foods you eat because of the dangers of some foods? How do you develop a relationship that's positive with food? And how do you deal with your feelings about not being part of what everybody else is eating? Well, we have somebody, fortunately today, who's a wonderful expert on this and can really help us out a lot. And this is Sharon Wanunu.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
And thank you for coming on the show. I thought maybe as a start for our viewers, if you can say just a little bit about your background and how you got involved in all this work with foods too.
My daughter was diagnosed with celiac disease when she was 4 years old. So it was a struggle until then, just with, sorry to get technical here, but you know, all kinds of bowel issues and skin rashes and not sleeping at night and crankiness, mood swings. So when she was diagnosed, it was an absolute blessing. I mean, just to find out what was wrong, how to help her.
Absolutely, you knew what you were dealing with.
Exactly, but for her, she didn't take it as a blessing. She took it as a punishment, because all of a sudden, all of her favorite foods were off limits. She couldn't eat Cheerios, she couldn't eat bread, she couldn't eat the pretzels at her kindergarten, she had to wash her hands every time she was going to put anything in her mouth. It was a
real
terrible,
barrier
terrible
between herself and others.
Absolutely. She felt completely ostracized from her peers, and this beautiful, boisterous, charming little girl just completely crawled into a shell.
So sad.
It was so hard to see that. As a mother, it killed me. But I wasn't about to just let that take over our lives. I said, there's no way. And at one point, after going to many different play dates with friends and constantly bringing her own little snacks, I said, you know what, I'm going to start our own little play group, and I can control what's there, and all kinds of kids with food allergies can come, because it'll be safe for everybody, and then everybody will eat the same thing. And it was this little source of joy for her. That one Tuesday afternoon where the table was set up with all kinds of fun, different snacks, and she could go up and independently just take whatever she wanted and not have to worry.
That must have made a big difference.
It made a huge difference. It made a huge difference. She became very well known at school, that Tuesdays are our play group, and Maya's mom is going to have so many great little snacks for us, and I would try to make it really, really fun. So we would take gluten-free graham crackers and build little houses with fruit leather on top, and each week a different activity. And then these activities came into an article that I wrote for Living Without magazine. It's a magazine for people with food allergies and sensitivities, and then that turned into a book.
Wow, well, we got a lot of interesting stuff that developed from that. And one of the things I sense from our discussion, Sharon, is just that you definitely have a certain set of philosophical beliefs behind what you're doing that really inform the work, and I think they're wonderful. So maybe if we could share with the parents a little bit of the underlying philosophy that we're going to talk about the specifics of later.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most important things are that playtime with food is completely different from mealtime. Playtime is about taking food that you will possibly eat and creating something. And mealtime is sitting down at the table with your family and once you're finished eating, there's no playing. That it's really important to distinguish that for children. I think, and sometimes at the table, a child will get really restless, and it's just maybe they're full or they're bored. But it's really important to distinguish that with them. Another concept is that when they're creating these food activities, it's the process, not the product, that's important. So take pictures of your children doing these little food activities. Engage them in a way that they're feeling proud every step, and not just that it looks like in the picture in the book. And the third thing that's really, really important is that these children are dealing with a lot of anxiety over food.
Yes.
The activity is not to cause them more anxiety. Take away the pressure. Some moms have rules like you just have to lick it. You don't have to taste it. You just lick the little raisin or the new yogurt. Or some moms just to have there's no limits. You don't have to try the food if you don't want to. But in the process of doing the activity, the children are becoming familiar with these foods in a way that's sensory for them. So it's not just the taste that's going to convince them that they want to eat it. It's the smell when you crack open a clementine. It's and they get the texture and the feel of it. And children are much more sensitive than we realize. So maybe the look of a food might turn them off initially, but as they're playing with it, and they're smelling it and they're feeling more familiar with it, they're more likely to try it.
I love what you're saying. I was thinking the implications of that, not only around eating. I mean, certainly the process of using your senses and really paying attention to what you eat could work for them their whole lives in terms of their relationship with food. And then I also thought on the broader context in life, we're in a society that often emphasizes end products and outcomes and really doesn't pay enough attention to the process that you get there.
Absolutely. This is not about a pretty little mouse made out of an orange. And then if you don't get the whiskers right, it's
no good.
No.
Right.
Now these are collages where the kids' creativity takes over. And I have a space on my website for parents to submit their kids' photos, so they can take a picture with their new creations that they did and then send it to me, and I'll put it up on the website, and then
awesome.
They can show the world how proud they are of their new treat. When a child is they find out that they're lactose intolerant. If you come home from the store and say, "Look, I got you new soy yogurt," the child is, and anything new, first of all, and different from what they know, they're going to be turned off, most likely. But if you take out the yogurt and you take out some soft cookies and you take out berries and you say, let's make some parfaits, and and just, by the way, look at this new yogurt, and piling it in, and then they get familiar with the smell, and they're much more likely to engage with that and to not be so afraid.
So you really pay a lot of attention to the context that food is around too.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I serve dinner and that my girls are, the dinner's not ready yet and they're hungry, I'll take out a bunch of veggies, but I don't throw it on a plate in the table. I'll draw a picture of a face, stick it in a Ziploc bag, and they make faces. They make veggie faces. And they're like, "Mommy, I ate the eyes, Look, I need more eyes. I need more cucumber for the eyes. I ate them."
So they have fun with it, too.
They have fun. It's fun food for me.
That's your
for
website,
them.
one of the websites, for people.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's specially for them. It's dedicated for them to enjoy their food. So.
Yeah. Can you expand a little, too, on some of the examples of different ways you intervene with kids around food? Because you've already given us a little taste of that.
Socially, I think it's really significant. So I would invite my daughter's friends over, and we'd have a lot of different play sessions with their friends, because some of them are more ambitious eaters, and they might try something, and then it's contagious.
Yes.
Oh, these are so yummy, and they see all the kids grabbing for the new blueberries, and then they're more likely to go ahead and grab for that.
I get you.
Also, I think it's really, really important for kids to feel relaxed about eating. Dinner time, no threats. No stress.
Don't connect that with food at all.
Don't connect it with food.
Right.
Just the beauty of it. Lots of different colors, and the playing is different. That's the creating. But dinner time, it's not about helping mommy rip up the lettuce. The time that they play, that they engage with food and they're playing with the food, that will trickle down into them eventually tasting it. And when they're at the dinner table, they say, oh, I recognize that from when we made those collages, you know, those veggie collages, and we put the cream cheese down and we made faces out of beans. I remember that. Oh, those are the black beans, Mom. Can I taste it?
One of the things I love about what you're saying is the fun, the playfulness of it. And I keep remembering the old kinds of statements you'd hear from different generations. Don't play with your food. Yeah. And it's just the opposite.
Just the opposite. Just the opposite. Children need to engage with have multi-sensory experiences with food.
Right. Can you give me a few examples, Sharon, of things you've observed with kids that really make you feel like, you know, this approach is really helpful? And some of the experience maybe in groups that you've done too, I'd like to hear.
Yeah, we had this wonderful playgroup session where the kids were playing this mix and match game. It's chips and dips.
Oh, okay.
So we had all different kinds of chips, and then we had all these dips, and they would spin a spinner, and if it landed on the corn chip, dipped in the hummus. And then I'll never forget. And then we did one child, like, she went over and she was spinning, and she took, I had veggies there too.
Yes.
So she took a little radish and she dipped it in, like, I think cream cheese, and then she ran over to her mom and she's like, Mommy, I tried it. Yeah, radish. I tried a radish. You know, and here, this is one of the pickiest eaters I know.
Wow.
That was one of the funniest things, that I was inviting all the kids who had food allergies to come to this playgroup, but really a lot of the moms were bringing kids that were just picky eaters to come and try out the food games.
This goes beyond just allergies, too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you had somebody, I remember you saying something about with beans, working with beans.
Oh yeah, the kids are so creative. You know, I could have an idea and give them a sense, like, today we're going to be creating a scene or something, and then they take that and just run with it. And I encourage that. I absolutely encourage it. It's beautiful.
Oh, wonderful. That's really great. I know you brought a little show and tell today, so people could actually see a little bit of what you do. So maybe I can have you talk a little bit about how you use some of the stuff we have here on the table with kids.
So I was so inspired by your concept of this show. It's just it's a wonderful thing to celebrate good news and happy news, and so I came up with this new recipe that I'm dedicating to you.
I love it.
Show.
Oh, this will be cool.
Okay, so I'm going to make a scene. That's a sunny scene, a good feeling scene. A lot of kids, they come home from school and they are just feeling, they have experiences, and kids with food allergies, whether it be a scary situation where somebody had a peanut next to them.
Yes.
You know, these kids are trained to be wary. So it causes a lot of anxiety, and they come home from school, they don't know how to express that. So this is mood food. This is coming home, taking the traditional after-school snack of fruit and yogurt, and making it into an experience. And they can express their feelings through art, through creative food art. Right? It's very healing.
Clever.
It's very healing. And if you see the child being very aggressive when they're spreading their yogurt, and you feel a lot of anxiety, you can talk about that while they're drawing and while they're spreading. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a beach scene. This is a sunny scene. This is a beautiful, exciting scene.
Already.
So you can use anything as your glue,
So
for your plate.
Yogurt.
Oh yeah, so you can use sour cream, and if the child was just diagnosed with a dairy allergy, you can use non-dairy sour cream.
Yes,
on my
sour
website,
cream.
there are a lot of helpful resources to find different products that are allergy-friendly products. Okay, so we're going to just use some yogurt, and then I'm going to use, this is ground flaxseed.
Oh, okay.
Right? Very, very healthy. You know, why not throw it on there? So, and just sprinkle it on. This is our sand. We're doing a little beach here. So this is our sand, okay? And then I'm going to do a little sun with an apricot. And I'm going to be using some clementines. So when you're setting up your food for the child to do the activity, you can always let them peel.
Yes, so they get the process of doing that and feeling it and touching and
smelling it. You know that smell when you break open the skin of an orange?
Wonderful,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to awaken their senses. So I'm going to use the clementine and just create a little sun here. And this is for our beach scene. And then to be a little humorous, maybe we'll have some little ants.
Of course, they like to visit, yes.
Right, ants in the sand. You have some little ants crawling, okay? And kids love that, anything that's imaginary.
Yes.
And then anything blue or green you can use for the water.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have fresh blueberries at home. So I just had frozen blueberries in my freezer. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to go out and it doesn't take a lot of prep.
And each child could create their own scene.
Each child creates their own scene. Yeah, absolutely. So here's the sea. Some kids, they remember going to the beach. They remember it being green. So they maybe want to use peas. Right? Or they want to use green apple slices. Or I wanted something really, really like blue and just really, they can imagine themselves swimming in the ocean. When I did this with my daughter, so she was taking little pieces of cranberries and creating a little girl sitting in the ocean, swimming in the water. But that, I mean, and then I would take a picture of it and say, you know, this beautiful thing. And then I would always, always dig in with them and say, oh, did you taste this? And if they're too timid to taste it, that's okay. They don't have to.
Talk about creating a positive environment around food.
Absolutely.
It's a very good example how to do it. I love it.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. Now, one question I have, I know some parents that are watching, they may have one child that has no allergies and the other child may have several, you know, difficult allergies. What kind of advice do you have for parents in terms of how to help bridge that gap so that it doesn't create that wall between the kids?
Yeah, it's very tricky. With little children at home, if anyone's ever seen a 2-year-old eat a peanut butter sandwich,
right,
it can get dangerous.
Yeah,
actually dangerous. If the child is, you know, taking a bite of the sandwich and then touching their seat and touching their table. At one point when my daughter was diagnosed and the little one was eating Cheerios and she was crying every day over it, I said, it's not worth it. It creates too much of a barrier between them. And I really feel like it depends on the household. If the children are older, it's very helpful for them to be able to manage their own allergies at home.
Sure.
And to know, okay, these are my treats, and these are, you know, labeled for me, and these are my siblings. But when they're younger, keep them safe. That's the first priority.
Sure.
My house is completely gluten-free. I don't want to chase after anybody's crumbs and have to be conscious and constantly being nervous about it. In my home, I want to feel like my daughter is safe and I'm safe and that we can relax and eat at the dinner table together. When as kids get older, it makes sense to have kids exposed to what the real world will be like when they go away to college, when they're out with their friends in high school.
Exposed to the foods they're allergic to.
Absolutely. But the number one priority is keep them safe and use your best judgment.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would absolutely say.
Interesting. How about, have you encountered kids dealing with diabetes also? I wondered what kinds of things, suggestions for parents, you know.
Yeah.
I know you've had some recipes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been working with new recipes using just agave nectar, which is a low glycemic sweetener. So it is a sugar, but it doesn't raise their blood sugar as fast as table sugar would. But just because they have diabetes doesn't mean they have to be left out. And if a child with diabetes has diabetes in the classroom, it makes sense to maybe get rid of all the sweets. Maybe the prize or the award for winning the math contest should be that they all get extra playtime outside, extra recess.
Yes.
To a child that's just as engaging, it's just as fun.
Gotcha.
And then no one is left out. So I think as far as recipes are concerned, there's so much on the internet now, and when you learn about nutrition and you have diabetes, and my grandmother does, so I'm always inventing things for her. But throw in lots of protein. Lots of protein will help them digest that, and then they can have their little cupcake. You know, also, yeah.
Also, I know you brought a couple sweets there too. Just maybe we should hold them up a little bit so people can see.
Absolutely. These are for you. These are from my bakery.
Excellent.
I have my own little bakery. It's out of my kitchen for right now, but I called it the sweet spot because I think everyone has a sweet spot. And whether you're craving chocolate chip cookies or you're just dying for a Twinkie and you and you haven't seen them in 10 years, and I make them.
That's wonderful.
So these are for you. I'd really love you to enjoy them.
Now I'm really glad I did the show.
These are banana cupcakes with cinnamon cream and maple syrup on top. And
that's great. That is great, Sharon. And you also brought some pictures, I understand, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit about some of the pictures that people will be looking at as we talk?
Yes, I find that for my cookbook that I'm writing right now, The Fun Food for Me, wanted to show not just the finished products, but the process and the joy, the pure joy that these kids experience playing and engaging, and sometimes you'll see a little hesitancy in trying things, but but then then later on you see the pride.
Some of the faces there are showing really how
they just
excited they are about doing
they
it.
feel so so proud of themselves, that of what they're creating and that they're cooking.
Yes, that is great. Now I understand also that you have developed a catering business as well around this, and as well as the book. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about each of those.
Oh yeah, just you know, my daughter would go to a birthday party, and we would bring, you know, her a cupcake for herself, and then she would always ask me, "Mommy, could we bring another one for someone else in case somebody else wants?" And that ended up being a really great source of joy for her, because not only was she feeling good that she could share, she could have something for herself, but she could share it with somebody else.
Yes.
And I'll never forget one time I brought a whole tray of brownies, and I'm an avid baker. I love baking. That's my passion. And then I bring this tray of brownies, and there was a mom there with celiac. And can I tell you, she had tears in her eyes, just the whole that touched on that sweet spot.
Wow.
You know, that whole feeling of me too.
Yes.
I can have some too. It was
She's
beautiful.
included.
It was a
Everybody
beautiful
wants to be
moment.
included.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I started the bakery. I mean, take something that you love and turn it into a career. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I get to be with my kids, and they help me in the kitchen. And my little one's so cute. She's like, "Mommy, do you have a catering order?" Oh, she's adorable. And just sharing that with other people. Wonderful.
And you've done some teaching with parents, I understand, or some consulting?
Yeah, I teach at Newton Community Ed, actually.
Oh, great, right here in our town,
Yeah, right here in Newton. And it's wonderful. I mean, we teach classes for kids, their cooking classes, and I teach all different kinds of holiday classes and pie baking classes and anything for people to engage. There's it's such a wonderful resource that we have in our own hometown.
Wow. Well, another thing I want to ask you is on an even broader level of what you do, because I really love what you're saying, and I love the creativity of it and the positiveness of it. In terms of future directions or ideas you have, I know the book gets your message out a little bit. The catering is another way. The teaching is another way. Do you have feelings about how we could affect, on the broadest of way, the image of food and helping kids, you know, make this become something, the kind of things you're saying, make it something that many more people are aware of and know, in terms of media, in terms of community activities, in terms of school systems?
Right.
What kind of thoughts? I'm just interested in your,
yeah,
because I like what you're saying.
It's funny that you ask. I'm writing an article right now called "The Cupcake Battle," because this is something that moms deal with. You know, you've got 30 kids in a class. Right. That's 30 birthdays. That's 30 days of cupcakes. You know, and that kids are, you know, oh, here, Maya, you can't have those cupcakes, but you can have your ice pop. You know, you could have those stale old cookies that are hidden in the cabinet for emergency days. Yeah, and then there's, of course, you know, days where there's prizes of pizza parties and ice cream socials and bake sales. And why is that necessary in the classroom? Kids would be just as excited with having a reach-in jar where they can come in and like get some special prizes, or getting to be the one to speak on the loudspeaker that day to announce the weather, or getting extra recess, getting other kinds of prizes that don't involve food. You know, and imagine taking out the cupcakes from school. You could solve the obesity epidemic. I mean,
I was thinking about the implications for obesity. I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's like these kids they're not asking for all of this sugar. It's not necessary, all the food coloring, and so it out of an innocent sense of trying to protect your child and wanting them to not feel ostracized on those days with celebrations, it really is. It's a bigger picture, actually, which I'm finding, and it's a beautiful thing. Some schools, Heath School in Brookline, they had a program in the first grade that they eliminated all the sweets, all of the treats.
How's that going? Any sense of it?
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
For my daughter, it was wonderful to be in the classroom, and the prizes didn't involve birthdays where, you know, a mom would come in and give books to everybody, or do a special project with them. So it didn't have to involve.
Just takes a little thinking out of the box creatively.
Absolutely. There you go. That's exactly it. Absolutely.
That is fascinating. Wow. So one of the threads through all that you're saying that I just want to underscore, because you said it well too, is that there's a connection between food and self-esteem, and how the relationship with food is in terms of how kids feel about themselves. And I wonder if you, in the last couple minutes we got, if you have any further comments just on what you've seen with how working some of these creative alternatives affects the self-esteem of kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it in, you know, in my own personal life with my daughter. You know, she's so proud of her special food. Before, she saw it as this punishment, that she was being excluded. And as a 4-year-old, to grasp that concept of, no, you can't have this, you know, and constantly, I'll never forget, it was like, Mommy, can I have that? Can I have that? Is that gluten-free? You know, she's growing up and she's becoming more and more independent, and she's now proud. So when she asks, can I have that? Is that gluten-free? It's like, I'm on a gluten-free diet. Do you have anything that's gluten-free on your menu? You know, there's a pride there in her special food. She sees it more in a sense as something that makes her unique, as opposed to something that ostracizes her from the rest.
And I hear in that also a certain feeling of I'm the master of this. I have some control too. Yeah. I can ask, I can be direct about what I need.
Yeah, she was becoming so independent, you know, getting out her cereal and getting the milk from the drawer, and then all of a sudden it became very complicated, and she kind of withdrew. And now she's just she's just so beautiful. She's so lively and so happy and proud. And at school they wrote an essay for school, and it said, you tell us about your favorite restaurant. Just a writing assignment. And she came home and it said, I love Mommy's restaurant. You know what? I mean, it was just it was just brilliant. It felt so good. It felt so good. Like everything that I poured into this, that all the efforts and trying and learning about different ways to get her to feel good about her situation, it was all worth it.
Oh, I can certainly see it was worth it. Wow. Well, this is really very exciting. What you're saying has a lot of implications and can make a big difference. And I know we have a couple places for people to contact you, the websites again.
Yes. I mean, the Fun Food for Me website has some activities on there that you can try. And even the kids, after you take photos of their little houses that they make, you can send it in to me, and I will absolutely upload it to the website, and you can see it on there. And my bakery, my new little baby that I did. I mean, if you're craving anything, pecan pie or lemon meringue, or even if it's just simple chocolate chip cookies, you can contact me at that website. Is the Sweet Spot, thesweetspotcatering.com.
Well, I want to thank you so much. You have been wonderful. What you do is wonderful.
Thank you.
And it's really inspiring. And I hope parents who are watching will really consider a lot of what Sharon is saying in terms of their own kids. I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, it was wonderful to have you. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And tune in again soon for another On the Sunny Side of the Street. Take care, everybody. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.